Welcome to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Anchored in family values, Wayne offers practical advice to help you get the most out of your retirement years. For more information, visit today'sretirees.com. Now, here's your host.
And welcome to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Today's program, we're going to be talking about some exciting news. Interest rates. Now, when I say that, for the last, 5 years, 6 years, the interest rates that you would get on your savings account was 0.4, 0.2?
Even longer than that. I mean, it's been 15 years plus.
Has it been that long?
With low rates, yep.
So if you had, $10,000 sitting, safe money or your funeral money, so I've heard people call it that.
Funeral money. That's a new one even on me.
I heard a person say that the other day. I have my funeral money. And they had, I think they said like $10,000 put away. It's been sitting, in a normal passbook savings account. Drawing, $10,000 is getting, $5 a year or something.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to look at my funeral money every day. But it's a little reminder, right?
But as you get a certain age, I mean,
No, you get it. Of course.
But the interest rates, I was reading the other day that I don't know the length of this time, but somebody had advertised, you get these clickbait on your emails, and it was like 4% or something like this. Is that common now?
It is common now, and banks have finally followed the insurance companies.
Okay.
Insurance companies have been raising rates all year, in fixed index annuities and fixed annuities. They were ahead of the game. I mean, as soon as the Fed announced that they were going to be raising rates, insurance companies got proactive.
Okay.
And the banks took literally all year, till just recently, to finally raise rates for their customers.
Okay.
I don't know why they took so long.
They like working for your interest.
Charging more for your mortgage, more for your credit cards, more for your auto loans, yet we're still paying ridiculously low interest rates. But they're up now. I mean, most banks and credit unions have pretty darn good rates available.
Okay.
And, people may not be aware of that, if they're not online or keep up on that stuff. But we don't know how long these rates are going to remain this high. They're saying inflation is subsiding and the Fed's cutting back on raising rates. They may raise them one more time, I think. So we don't know, rates may start to subside, next year.
Okay.
So you got to think, are you in a position to take advantage of these higher short-term safe accounts, safe money interest rates? Or are you just keeping your stuff where it always has been, in the passbook or checking account earning nothing?
Right. So if you were going to, like I said, I saw this advertisement, it was 4 something % return. And I didn't read it enough to know if that, I'm sure there's a minimum deposit and a minimum length that you have to do that. That's not, a 30-day.
They're all over the board. I mean, it's, you got 5-year rates, 4-year rates, 3-year. You have, some of the specials I've seen are the 13-month CD rates.
Okay.
Which, I call what your friend called your funeral money, but, emergency fund or cushion or whatever. I call it your happy bucket. People should keep enough in that account to keep them content and happy, knowing it's there, in case something comes up. But not so much where you're, geez, I'm not earning anything on it.
Right.
Well, now we don't have that problem. You can have money in an account and, not feel disgusted that you're not earning anything. It's just you do have to commit typically to a length of time.
Sure. But if somebody has, that bucket, as you refer to, now would be the time to jump into some of these. Was that what I'm hearing?
Possibly, yeah. So whatever your happy number is that you keep in that local bank account, your happy bucket. I mean, let's say, most of my clients will keep 10 to 50, some a lot more. But if your happy number is 50,000, you may want to peel some off, 10 or 25,000, and put it in a 12 or 13 month CD, maybe even a little longer, and get that extra money on that account.
Sure.
Normally, the penalty to get out of CDs aren't too bad. 60 days, 90 days interest. So if you're getting a 4% rate of return, and let's just say, oh dang, your car, blew its motor, blew its tranny, and now you got to buy a new car, which you weren't planning on. So if you cash that CD in, you're going to pay, say it's 90 days interest penalty, 1%. Right? You're earning 4, you're going to give up 1, but you still earn 3, which is a lot more than most savings accounts or checking accounts for whatever period of time.
Sure.
But, most people will be able to leave it set there and take advantage of the high rates. But one of the tough parts is 13 months from now, that CD is going to come due, and you don't know what rates will be then.
That's right.
So what should we do, a 24-month CD now or a 36-month? It's kind of a tough call, and it really depends on if that happy bucket is nice and fat. I mean, if it's filled and has excess, if your happy number is 25 and you got 50 in it, well, it's a no-brainer. Or if it's 50 and you got 75 in it, well, definitely, peel some money out, get it in those high-interest accounts.
Sure, absolutely. Now, those, like when you mentioned, the 3-year, 4-year, whatever, we don't know then, and, we don't know what the future is going to hold. It might be, and this is the gamble, isn't it? Because, it might be 7% then, or it might be point something.
Yeah, I mean, for the savers, let's hope so. Because they'll cherish that.
Right.
So when that 13-month CD comes due, now they get into a 7 instead of a 4.
Sure.
Right? You don't know that. But even if you got a 5-year, if the penalty is only 90 days interest and rates pop up to 7, you pay the 1%, you get out of the 4 and get into the 7. I mean, you'll make it back real quickly.
Sure. Okay, right.
So, you can make it work either way. You just got to think through it, and, obviously working with somebody like myself helps.
Right.
To talk you through all the options and what you need to think about before you do it. But yeah, people really need to consider taking advantage of these higher rates. We don't know how long they're going to be around.
Well, this is another reminder, as you talk about this, to make an appointment, even if you're a client, to come and see you on a regular basis, so you can, you're not left sitting on the sidelines when some of this stuff is going on.
I mean, reviews should be at least annually. A couple times a year is great. The more the better, because then you don't miss stuff. And if you're not working with someone, you're just winging it, definitely give the office a call. That's what I do. I help people, get their financial house in order, and then help them manage it through the years.
There you go. Well, friends, you can get a hold of Wayne by going to his website at todaysretirees.com, or pick up the phone at 866-626-3990. We'll be back right after this.
We've all heard the word rollover when referring to an investment account at work, or your 401k, your 403b, your 457 plan. What do you do with that when you've left your job and your 401k or other retirement plan is still at your old employer? Or what if you've retired? And one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to leave your money, your retirement account, in your employer's 401k. Quite frankly, your old employer or current employer is the boss of your retirement account. So if you have questions about what to do with your rollover, you roll it to Wayne. Get it in your own hands, where you have the whole universe of investments and choices, not just what your employer tells you can pick from. So contact my office for a free consultation on how to roll over your old retirement account.
And welcome back to Today's Retirees with certified financial planner Wayne Maslyk. of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. If you haven't heard, interest rates are going up, not just on the Fed side, but some of the banks and some of the insurance companies are raising their rates. So let's transition a little. A few weeks ago, we did a program about annuities and things, or talked about them anyway. But when we're talking about interest rates, saving, not the Fed raising interest rates on borrowing, is there a, I know there's a difference between an annuity and a CD or something like that, but is one better than the other?
Well, that's a good question. So one of the benefits, like for folks out there that aren't familiar with annuities, we're talking about fixed annuities. Like a fixed annuity pays a fixed interest rate for a promised period of time.
Okay.
Just like a CD. Except instead of issued by a bank, they're issued by insurance companies.
Okay.
And instead of being insured by the FDIC like the CDs, they're insured, not only they're backed by the financial strength of the insurance company, but they're backed by the state, like in our case, State of Ohio Insurance Guarantee Fund. So they're both secure places to put your money. One of the benefits of a CD are the surrender charges to get out of it early, like we were talking about in the previous segment, are typically a lot lower than the charges if you get out of an annuity.
Okay.
But the trade-off for the annuity is rates are normally higher in annuities, like we were talking 4% in the CD, right? But you have some annuities now that are 5, 5.25, 5.5,
oh wow,
and even 6%. Some of the online, not online, but some of the insurance companies that don't want to mess with paper, and it's all e-apps, like DocuSign type stuff. We have some companies paying, 6.
Wow.
So you normally get higher rates in annuities, but they're not as liquid, and they're not down at the local bank, right? So you're not going to walk into an insurance company. But one of the benefits of an annuity is the fixed annuities, the interest you earn in it, like if it's not an IRA, like if it's just after-tax money, just regular money, like that came from a savings or whatever. If you earn your 5%, say on $100,000, if you're in a CD, you're going to get a 1099 for the interest.
Okay.
If you're in an annuity, you don't. So that compounds without having to pay tax on it year after year.
Oh.
And you only pay the tax on the interest gained or earned whenever you make withdrawals.
Okay.
And if you move once the annuity's up, right, it matured or surrender period's over, and you move it to another annuity, you still don't pay the tax. The cost basis just rolls from annuity to annuity. I
see.
Whereas with a CD, you're paying that tax every year.
Okay.
And that could have ramifications. It's if you're collecting Social Security and you're not maxing out as far as paying tax on the 85% of your Social Security, that's the top level. Say you're paying tax on none of your Social Security or 50%. Now you get this 1099 for $4,000 from the CD, and that could cause more of your Social Security to be included in taxable income. So it could be a double taxation just because you got the 1099 from the bank.
Okay.
So sometimes annuities help in that way to keep you in lower tax brackets or pay lower tax on your Social Security income.
Okay. But if I'm hearing you right, let's say you have a 5-year annuity, or at the end of 5 years, then you would pay taxes once that matured, unless you rolled it over into the new one.
Yeah, and most people, they're going to shop around and find the next best 5-year place to put it, or 3-year place, or whatever. Right. Or they can take the money. Say they cash it in. Now they got 5 years of compounded tax-free interest, and then they pay the interest. But they could pick and choose, when to take it out.
Right.
With a 1099, you just get it right? You
Right.
can't pick and choose when to get that. So
Sure.
they are a little more helpful for tax planning, and they pay a little higher interest rate. They're just not at the local bank, and they're not as the withdrawals, the early withdrawals, the penalties are lower in CDs.
Okay, as a typical rule. Now, that's why it's important to come and see someone like yourself. So, and that's one of the things that you do. And I don't mean to knock somebody else, because I don't know a lot of these other folks or how they all work. But you look at the family situation, and you not only look at how to maximize their income from what they have invested and help them, but you're also, as you mentioned, the taxes. Because as a layman, I'm going to overlook that in a lot of cases probably, because I'm just looking at it. Well, I get 4% here and 5% there, and it's 4,000 here or 5,000 there. That's no brainer. But when you start drilling down, it may not be a no brainer.
Yeah, and like we always say, every person's different. We do offer the discounted tax service, for our money management clients, $90. CPA prepared. Which is a deal. So not only is it a deal, and it's great quality tax work, but you have me involved with your taxes, which helps, and you have a close relationship with your CPA, and then I have the relationship there too. So that really makes tax planning a whole lot easier than dealing with each client's separate CPA in different cities, or where you don't have the relationship. Maybe if you call them to run a projection, they're going to charge you, whatever. And it's just harder to tax plan. So if they're clients and we do their taxes, it's really helpful that we have that relationship for the client's benefit to really get proactive tax planning, not just get a surprise in April.
Right.
Which is really, it's important. This segment's almost over, but after the break, I do want to talk about how the interest rates are helping during the high inflation that people are experiencing with their groceries and gas and a bunch of other stuff. I mean, we're all paying a lot more for things.
Sure.
But one of the benefits of the Fed raising rates is these current higher interest rates, which can literally completely offset your higher inflation costs, or at least take the edge off of it.
Sure. When we come back, we will talk more about that. But friends, if you are thinking about some of these things, or you need help with your financial plan, and all of us do, I would encourage you to call Wayne's office at 866-626-3990. Go to his website at todaysretirees.com, todaysretirees.com. We'll be back right after this.
Hi, my name's Wayne Maslyk. I'm a certified financial planner and owner and president of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. I'm making this video because I'd like to offer you, at no charge, a free newsletter that I send to all of my clients and prospects monthly. The newsletter is filled with little tidbits on investing and finances, and we have recipes. But most importantly, I write a personal message in there monthly, whether it's purchasing vehicles, whether it's investing your money, passing assets to your children, trying to lower your taxes, you name it. If it has to do with financial planning, it will be in a newsletter at some point. I keep the information light, though. It's not political. We're not talking economics, nothing like that. It's fun stuff, a little bit about my family monthly, client examples of how we can help people. We won't bug you. All you're going to do is get our monthly newsletter. We keep your information safe. We don't sell it. We don't give it to any other marketer. The sole purpose is to get the word out that I am the go-to source in this area for financial planning.
And welcome back to Today's Retirees with certified financial planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. We're talking today about interest rates and how you can benefit from some of these new higher rates of CDs and annuities. And if you missed the last segment, go to Wayne's website at todaysretirees.com, and you can go to his YouTube channel, and you can see all of those and pick up where we talked about some of the differences and some of the similarities. But I got a question before we get into, when we left, we teased them about how these new rates are helping hedge inflation. But before I do that, does it matter? I mean, does it change anything, or does it matter if you're going to get into a CD or an annuity, when you got, tax season's coming up in a couple of weeks? Does it matter when you start this? Like, do I need to jump in and do it tomorrow, or can I wait till February?
The only problem with delaying is you're just going to delay a month of interest or 2 months, whatever.
Okay.
The tax-wise, no. I mean, if you got into it in July, say, of this year, well, then you're going to have 6 months of interest on your 1099.
Okay.
If you're in a CD and it's not an IRA. Right? If you get into it in January, then you're going to have a full 12 months of interest on your 1099. So, no, it really doesn't matter. It's just trying to time, if the Fed raises rates again, like they said, or, instead of 4, you can be able to get 4.5, in 2 months.
Right.
And you're like, darn, I should have waited. So, you got to take advantage when it's there.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I don't think timing has any issue at all. And of course, with the annuities, you don't get a 1099 anyway.
Sure. Okay. All right. Well, now as you were teasing as we left for break, inflation is running 8% plus.
I think it's back down to around 7.
Okay.
But there's certain components that bring like the real inflation rate into the 5 range. But well, either way, it's higher than it was a year ago.
Right.
2 years ago.
My wife told me the other day, to buy a dozen eggs are like $4 a dozen now, where 3 or 4 years ago they were under $1.
Yeah.
So that doesn't sound like 7% to me.
No. Same with fuel, but fuel's coming back down. But,
right.
Propane and all kinds of stuff. But they use a basket of goods. The government does. So when you take into consideration the basket of goods they use, it's lower.
Okay.
There's things like I think cell phones are like 20% cheaper than they were a year ago to buy a new one, something like that.
I wasn't aware.
Some prices are coming down, but vehicles are up, and it's just. But it is what it is. We don't not have inflation forever and ever and ever. Just like the market doesn't go up forever and ever.
Sure.
We have inflationary periods. That's just the way it is. But when that happens, and when the Fed gets aggressive at trying to stem inflation by raising rates to push back on demand, right? When there's too much demand and not enough supply, rates go up. So if you make it unattractive or harder to finance a vehicle or a mortgage or whatever, people aren't going to buy as much of the stuff. So that's what the Fed's doing.
Okay.
But to our benefit, or I should say to savers' benefits, people that don't have debt and have money that they like to keep safe, but they want to earn a decent interest rate on it, instead of earning, like you said, nothing, to earning 4.
Sure.
If you have $100,000 that was earning nothing, and now is earning 4, that's an extra $4,000 in your pocket.
Right.
And that's just $100,000. If you have $500,000, that's an extra $20,000 in interest every year. But let's use the 100. If you have $4,000 you're making that you weren't a year ago, and let's say you have a lifestyle of $60,000, and inflation went up. I'll give you the benefit of 8, but inflation's typically how much?
Probably 3 or 4.
3?
Yeah.
So we're paying 5 more than normal. Okay. So if you're living on 60 and we're paying 5 more than we're used to paying year over year, you're going to pay $3,000 more than what you've been paying to live your lifestyle. Right? Okay. 5% of the 60. you just made 4 more from the higher interest rate on that $100,000.
Okay, I see where you're going.
So you're $1,000 ahead of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You're actually pocketing $1,000 compared to previous years because of the higher interest rates. And that's using 100. The 100,000 offsets a $60,000 lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
If you have 200,000, now you're pocketing a lot more money.
Sure.
So, there are people that are benefiting from this. They got to be in the position of having the cash to move from checking, savings, or old CDs or, previously purchased CDs to these new higher rates. And I'm also, people that have CDs
mm-hmm.
that aren't out of surrender yet, they're not out of their, they're not mature yet. Go to the bank, find out what it's going to cost you to get out of them, even
mm-hmm.
if you have 1, 2, 3 years left. If you can get out of them, fairly cheaply, right?
Sure.
Typically 90 days interest or whatever it is. Well, 90 days on the old rates is nothing.
Right.
Consider paying the fee and getting it into the new, 4% plus rates.
Right.
You got to stay on top of that stuff. Just because you don't get the notice in the mail that your CD's coming up doesn't mean you can't look back at the current CDs you
mm-hmm.
have and get those into the higher rates.
Right. So if you have a CD at 0.8 or 9,
mm-hmm.
0.8 or 0.9,
or even 2,
and
right?
and they're 5, right? It would make sense.
Yeah, potentially pay the fee and just investigate that.
Sure.
You can't be complacent. You got to be proactive, and you could really benefit, from the money in your pocket with those higher rates.
Well, this is what you've been trying to teach folks for years, is to be proactive with their finances, not only with savings and investing, taxes, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make a plan and do it.
Can't be lazy about it. And we've been talking for years on this show, people are always scaring on the news now about high inflation,
mm-hmm.
and we've always talked about when inflation comes and we have the high inflation and interest rates start to rise, the savers will benefit.
Mm-hmm. And
now they're experiencing that.
Sure, absolutely. Well, friends, we are out of time for this program. Take some moments, go to Wayne's website, todaysretirees.com, todaysretirees.com. There you can sign up for his Wayne's free newsletter. You can link to his YouTube channel, look at all these past episodes, they're all there. Certain segments, all of this is there. Or better yet, pick up the phone at 866-626-3990 and make an appointment and sit down with Wayne and let him help you put together a financial plan that makes sense just for you. We're out of time. We'll see you the next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Visit todaysretirees.com or call 866-626-3990 to schedule a no-cost appointment with Wayne. Today's Retirees is brought to you by Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management, family-focused retirement and tax planning services, anchored in family values. Information and opinions discussed on Today's Retirees do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this station. Opinions expressed should not be substituted for individualized consultation with a qualified financial advisor. For specific information, call 866-626-3990 or visit todaysretirees.com.